Good morning, TikTok. Cubs are rolling. 3 games in a row. Walked off. How exciting is that, especially at Wrigley Field? Just a great time to be a Cubs fan. And I'm thankful for my Cub fandom. And there's one man I have to thank, and it's my dad and my mom. Actually, that's a man and a woman that I have to thank for it because they gave me the love of the Cubs. They gave me the love of baseball in general and fandom. Today's my dad's birthday. He would have been 94 today, and wow, and he was would have been he died in 1998, so he's been gone a long time. I only had him for 24 years of my life. That's and I've lived more than double that now at this point, and I just want to kind of honor him today by hopefully going to the ball game. If I can finish up my work, I will, and go keep score because that's what he always did. He taught me how to keep score. I don't always do it, but I do on May 7th usually. In fact, one May 7th was the game against the Yankees where I think it was Starlin Castro as a Yankee ended up walking it off against us in like the 17th inning. And my scorecard was a mess. It rained. It was cold. We snuck down to box seats. A very memorable May 7th game, but I kept scoring that one. I think I ran out of room eventually and gave up, though. But yeah, Dad kept scoring all my Little League games, which meant the scorebook was at my house, so I got to look up my friends and myself and figure out my batting average and all that stuff and what I would have to do to hit over 300 or whatever it was. Actually, hitting 300 in Little League, you should know at that point that you ain't going to make it. You got to be hitting like 800, like the kid that's just, you can't get them out. Those are the kids that end up going to the pros. But yeah, 1983, my dad brought us to Wrigley Field. He'd bribe us to go to CCD, which is Catholic education, by saying, hey, if you don't cause a fuss, and then I'll bring you to Wrigley. And we saw Chuck Rainey one time almost get a no-hitter against the Reds. And Eddie Milner broke it up. I'll never forget that. I've looked up that game. I've talked to Chuck Rainey about that game. And I was there as a little kid. I don't know if this was the first time I was at Wrigley, but it was certainly one of the more memorable early times that I was at Wrigley. But my family went to Comiskey first. We actually went to Memorial Stadium in Baltimore. I went to Pittsburgh, wherever they played, Three Rivers maybe at the time. Well, I went to a few stadiums before I went to Wrigley. Because my dad loved baseball. And he grew up a Tigers fan. 1950s, he went to the All-Star game, one of those years, 52, something like that. He would have been, what? Nah, maybe it was earlier than that. I don't know. But he said he went to an All-Star game and he got a baseball. And then my cousin told me that ball got burned up when they had a house fire because my cousin was growing something in the basement, and apparently they started a fire and the ball got burnt up. But family lore, who knows if it's true. But what is true is my dad loved baseball. We had WGN on all the time after we moved. We moved to Chicago in like 81, 82. And then Harry Carey was on every day with Steve Stone at 1 o'clock, and would come home from school and catch the last few innings. And, we just fell in love with it. And my dad loved it so much, even though he grew up a Tigers fan. He'd watch any game. And the Cubs were always on, I can't say that anymore. It's hard to get the game. My friend Mike Waller just had a story about how he was like trying to find some way to watch the game and willing to pay money for this. And nobody could help him out. He was just in some weird blackout zone of his cable company. But back then, it was just on the family television every day with TrueLink fence commercials and the Eagle Man. Just a great time to be alive, really. And my dad caught it right. He was an interesting dude. He was a polyglot. He knew 9 languages, and he was a translator, but he also had a terrible stutter. So that's weird because he excelled at language but couldn't talk. And he was a writer. He wrote a novel that's a modern myth, which I've read most of. I have trouble with it. I've read it as a kid, And but I've been trying to read it. It's long. I mean, it's really long. It's like 800 pages long, and I get confused, and then I put it down, and then I got to go back, and it's just like, so the man might be a genius, and his son is somewhat dumber than him. But anyway, I'm a writer because of him. I'm a baseball fan because of him. He was a singer. He was in operas. That's where my parents met. He could sing. So could my aunt. That whole side of the family could sing. They sat around singing all the time. I got tons of, not tons, but more than most people, audio tapes of my family sitting around singing old, like, coal mining songs from Wales in the basement of a house in Ann Arbor, Michigan. So that's cool. Just a cool guy, and all my friends that knew him, they loved him. He would drink with us. I'm glad I got that experience, that I wasn't uh, so young when he died. I was at least hitting adulthood, but he was so proud of me, and he would have loved uh, watching what I'm doing now with the Cubs. He would have loved all this stuff. He probably would have been a freaking Trumper, though. That's the problem. He got super, like, conservative. He hated Hillary Clinton. At the end of his life, he just kind of, like, disappeared into some sort of right wing radio vortex that none of us could understand, because he wasn't like that before. But I think at this point, this was back in the 90s. I think at this point, a lot of us might recognize that pattern. And I certainly, that was early on. That was early on when that was all happening. But yeah, he's no longer with us, and we don't have to have political arguments. I could just kind of remember him as a baseball fan who loved me and my sisters and my mom, and did the best he could, and was an interesting artist and an interesting person. And anyway, he is forever missed by me, and most people that knew him are just kind of not here anymore either, and he's been gone a long time. But happy birthday to him, and also happy birthday to Miguel Esparza, my friend who is the Spanish language voice of the Chicago Cubs. And it's his birthday too, which I always found really cool when two people who mean a lot to me have the same birthday. So, but Miguel's still alive, so you can wish him a happy birthday. And we all come from a dad, but I came from a dad and a father. So, R.I.P. Pops, and hope the Cubs get one for you today.